Good, good, everybody.
All right.
Okay, welcome everybody. We 11 days out. It's unique that we're practicing 2 weeks from game time. Do you want to start over? Is that too loud? That screwed up? Welcome everybody. It's unique that we're 2 weeks out from a game and started school this week. Usually you start school the week of the game, and that's just more distractions and it makes them more tired. So another positive for 0 week is that most people are in the middle of training camp and we're at the end, 11 days away. And we had a really good practice today. The guys were excited. It's kind of a hard day to practice because you're far enough away from the game and you're finishing preseason camp. So it's kind of a tweener practice, but I was impressed with their attitude and the way they practiced. Because we haven't played well on the road at night for sure, and we're opening up with an 8 o'clock game. We scrimmaged at 8 o'clock the other night. We had an 8 o'clock practice for Student Appreciation Day on Saturday, and we asked them to have the complete routine of game day for a night game on both those days. And then on Saturday we will have an actual game simulation where we'll run through everything. They'll have the pregame meal. It'll be a noon game because we have game 2 and 3 are at noon. So we're trying to get them to at least be able to visualize and feel the mentality that they would have on those game days. So that's something that we've worked really, really hard on since we practiced so early. This was our first 8:30 in the morning practice. But it's easier for us at noon games than it is for afternoon or night games because of our schedule. So we've just got to work through that moving forward. And Saturday will be, again, a noon game for us, simulation, where the last two were simulating the 8 o'clock Florida A&M kickoff on the 27th. Said it's very disappointing when we got Antoine Green hurt, but there's a good chance he'll be back. He's out here every day. He can do some things, obviously, with his legs. It's an upper body injury, so but they're saying 6 to 10 weeks. 6 weeks would put him in the open date before Notre Dame, so hopefully he will get back at some point during that time. And then British Brooks got hurt on Saturday night. It's a lower leg injury. He got an operation yesterday, and he's going to help us coach. He does have an extra year where he could come back next year if he wants to. We've talked to him about that. It's not a good time to think about it or discuss it for him. He wants to coach, so what he's going to do is coach our running backs as a student coach. And he was out here yesterday, Sunday, when we practiced, and he said, I need a microphone like you've got because I'm on crutches and they can't hear me, man. I said, well, you're going to have my cart. So now he's got my cart. When he gets back out here, he'll be coaching running backs and special teams, and he'll be all over the place. I'm not sure we need him to have a microphone yet, but the Antoine Green injury stirred up the rotation at wide receiver. The British Brooks injury being a season-ending injury stirs up the running back room. So we're still looking at what that's going to look like in 11 days. And I've never been this close to a season with this many question marks. And we've got talented people at those positions. We've just got to put them in positions to get where they want to go. Quarterback battle, they're both good. It really hasn't changed that much. We're putting them in scrimmage situations every day where we're just playing move the ball like a game. We're doing a lot of that. Part of that because Jack's new with Phil, even though they've worked together before, but Gene's new with the defensive staff and Charlton's been calling defenses for the last 5 years. Gene hasn't. So it's allowing Gene to call the defense and putting pressure on both coordinators every day in practice to try to get where we need to go. Young wide receivers are both talented. They're both good. Dre Green's made some plays. He's tall, he can run. And then you've got Doc Chapman. He's a lot like Daz Newsome. I mean, he's fast, he's quick. He's kind of a running back that can play wide receiver. but he's doing really wonderful things in the slot. We're working really, really hard to try to get two deep that can play at any time during the game. And we've talked to them a lot about we need blue team guys. And at some places we're getting that done. At others that we're still short of what we want to be, and we're working really, really hard to get there. And that's one of the reasons that we're waiting to do a depth chart and waiting to get ourselves into who's going to play, because they're all competing right now, and we'll have to do that on Monday for you. Defensive line rotation is taking shape because there's a lot of those guys that can play. But then you start looking at Javari Ritchie can play power end or he can play 3 technique. You got Miles Murphy at 3 technique. You've got Des Evans at power end along with Kamen Rucker. So you got some really good players up there. We've got more pass rushers than we've had since we've been here. So there will be some pass rush packages. So we're looking at who's the nose tackle and who's the 3 technique, who are the power ends and who are the jacks, and because there's enough talented people up there that we should be good up front. And the same thing at linebacker. Can you get 3 to play? Can you get 4 to play? Because you've got Ra and Sebastian Cheeks behind Ced Gray and Power Eccles. Can you just put them in? And are we ready to do that yet? And all those are things that we're answering right now. Secondary, I will say this, legend Cavazos has been out. He's had a lower body injury. He should be back for the game, but he's missed a lot of practice. Storm was out. He's been back and practicing full speed for the last 3-4 days, 2-3 days. So he looks fine. British is out for the year. Caleb Hood's been out a lot of preseason practice with a lower leg injury. He did practice today, so he's coming back some, but that did hurt our rotation again with our running backs. So we've had to look at it forced us to look at those younger ones earlier. And obviously we talked about Antoine Green out. Everybody else seems to be ready to go, and most of those are going to be well before we get back and get ready to go. The 3 grad transfers are all playing really well, and they're good leaders. Excited about Corey Gaynor. He's tough, and he's been an outstanding leader with the offensive line. Spencer Rollum, because he's in business graduate school, is missing some practice. He wasn't out here today because of class, because graduate school's already started. So he's been missing 1 or 2 practices a week. So we're still working with him to try to figure out that balance, because we have not had someone in the graduate business school that's out here for practice every day. And then Noah Taylor continues to grow as a pass rusher and being in the jack position. We've told the guys, we've talked about playing to a standard every day, because we didn't last year. We were really up and down. And I like this team. We had about 4 guys that we didn't feel like played as well as they could on Saturday. Other than that, everybody has played well throughout. Zach Rice missed 5 days with an upper body injury, and Travion Greens missed about the same. So it got them behind. So we hated that. But that's part of preseason. We said the other day, one of the toughest things for a head coach is how much do you run, how much do you hit in the heat, and try to stay healthy. I mean, it is a real dilemma for head coaches this time of the year all across the country. And then again, I saw yesterday, I think there's 6 teams in the top 25 that are on our schedule. And then the 3 that we start with are really good teams that don't get as much publicity as some of the others, but they're all teams that have won 9 or 10 games the last couple of years. So, did I miss anything? Okay, questions?
With respect to quarterback, is it an issue of one guy might be a little bit better one day and the next guy, the other guy's a little bit better, or are they kind of even pretty much every day? And as a follow-up to that, if this was game week, would you be comfortable making a decision on somebody right now?
Yeah, you'd have to. I mean, so you wouldn't have any choice about making a decision right now. It is a situation where both of them are good enough. So if we started either one of them, I would feel good. And what we have to do is, if we charted everything since spring, that everything they've done, every throw, every decision, who's made the best choices. We still did it again today. We had a 1-minute scrimmage. We had a team scrimmage. We've got them out there and we mix them up. We rotate them with blues and whites, so we don't give one of them an advantage over the other. So we'll choose one. Again, I'm planning on doing it Monday, but could not happen. But I think so. That's what we want to do, and we do feel like that the one that isn't chosen as a starter needs to stay ready to play because it's so close. They're both going to play some, because with young quarterbacks, somebody's going to struggle. At some point, you're going to take him out and put the other one in, and then that's his chance to shine too. But we're really, really fortunate to have those two. Connor is not in that mix right now because he's younger, and we're hoping to redshirt him. But the other two, we could put out there today and play.
On the note of playing, potentially playing two, it sounds like, is that a situation like where, wouldn't that hurt their confidence if you're going to name a starter and you just said maybe take one out if they're not playing well? That's kind of a weird scenario, right?
I think it's a smart scenario.
Okay.
If a guy's not playing well, take him out. We do it at every other position. And if you've got a guy that's good in his position, we have done it where we left Sam in about every play for 3 years because nobody was ready to go in. And there were times where he might have struggled early, and we might have taken somebody and put them in. But Jace Reuter got hurt. We put him in at App State with Sam. I think on a 3rd and 7, he ran a counter and hurt his knee and was out for the year, or most of the year. So I never worry about confidence with a quarterback, because if they're not confident, they're not going to be any good. I never worry about them looking over their shoulder. I look over mine every day. All of us do. We got jobs to do, and we got pressure to do it right. So, and you've got to be really careful what you heard and what I said. I said we will choose a starter. I said they are both very good. I didn't say we're going to jerk one out the first time he makes a bad play. I said we're going to play the one that's in there. If he's really struggling, we have a good enough player we can put in his place. So I don't want it to look like the starter has a 3 and out, and we're saying hey, he's out. That's not what we're talking about at all. I do remember in a number of scenarios where we had to try both till we got a guy. But I remember Jason Stanisak and Mike Thomas were both very good, and it was so weird that everyone we started stunk, and the one that came off the bench played great. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen every week. So it'd be, get him out and put the other one in. He won the game. So you've just got to do whatever you feel like you need to do to win the game, and they've got to trust us to do that. And the good thing about Jacoby and Drake is they get along. They get along. They trust us. They can run the same plays. So that really helps us.
Given the
taking
youth,
a bigger step back, look at the program. You had a lot of momentum those first 2 years. Last year was kind of a speed bump. What does the success look like to you this year in terms of having the program where it should be in year 4?
We've got really good young players. Our last 2 recruiting classes have been excellent. This last year's class is amazing how many good players are in that class. Will Hardy may play some. Marcus Allen's out running with 2s. You just start looking at the Sebastian Cheeks is trying to get it in a flow with rotating. So there's a lot of really good players in that class. So I would think number one, we need to continue to recruit like we are now, and it's a new animal with NIL out there. So we gotta figure all that out. Secondly, I thought we were ranked entirely too high last year, but I didn't think we played consistent. And my job and our coach's job are get them to play consistently hard every week. And we didn't do that. We beat Virginia and lose to Georgia Tech, and it's 2 different teams completely in 2 weeks. And that's you can't be that way. So I want this team to play to a standard of effort, and I want them to give us their best every week. And that's all I want. And I want them to play as hard as they can, and I want our fans to appreciate that. we've got so much inexperience. Who knows how they're going to play? But they're talented, and at some point they're going to be really good. I remember telling Woody Durham once when I think we were 6-4-1, and we tied Georgia Tech, Lee, and they were number one in the country. And I remember after the game, Woody said, "Do you feel good about a tie?" And I said, "No, but I know we're going to be good. I don't know when it's going to be, but I know we're going to be good." And that's the way I feel about this team. That's the way I feel about this program. It's good that when you look at our history in the last 30 years, that 6 wins was a really, really disappointing season, because that's been about our average, and it's not good enough. And that's why we've got to continue to get better.
Given the youth, a lot of the skill guys, the youth and inexperience, are Jacoby and Drake similar enough that there would be any concern about their comfort level, the young guys getting reps with 2 different dudes that might be in there at quarterback?
No, I don't think so. You know, that's why we've rotated them with every series. And Phil's done a really good job of giving each one a fair chance every day. And we haven't said, "You didn't play as well today, this one's ahead of you," like we have at every other position. We've said, "We're going to make our decision the week of the game. You guys go for it." And you are competing every day. He, as I said last time we met, he does ask them to grade themselves, which is interesting. And he's graded them really hard. But they've worked enough with all the guys. You know, we got so many young receivers. They're talented. It's fun to watch them. We've got young running backs. Our secondary is really older, except some of the corners. But I feel like that will not be an issue.
Are they grading themselves harder than they were at first when he first started doing that? Is that part of the process?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Phil, because I'm not in there when they grade themselves. But he does. He grades them. He has them grade themselves, and then they sit down together and go over his grade and their grade and see what maybe they graded themselves too hard in some areas. And he'd say, "No, that's not fair to you. Be this," because they're both great young people that are real smart. They get football, and they're very talented. So like I said, I feel so blessed that we got 2. That is not going to be a negative issue for us. But the ones that don't have any right now are going to get beat. We got 2, so that's a lot better.
Mack, in light of what happened on Saturday night, what words come to mind when you hear the name British Brooks?
He is one of the most amazing stories that I have had as a coach for 34 years as a head coach. He gets in school. I don't even know who he is when we get here. I don't know who he is for 6 months, and then he starts showing up a little bit. Then you put him on a special team or 2 and think, yeah, that's okay. Then he becomes special teams captain. Then he gets a scholarship, and then we're asking him to come back for another year because he was so impactful as a leader on our team. So we'll miss him at running back. We're going to miss him more as a leader, and that's why we feel blessed that he's going to help us coach. And we're going to miss him more on special teams, because Larry Porter was talking this morning in the meeting with the team. He was on every special team. So that's going to really hurt us, and somebody got to step up and take his place. But after his operation last night, I talked to him in the hospital and just told him that. I said, "You're just an amazing story," and he wants to coach. So we'll give him this year to coach. And I told him all my knees were torn up, and I didn't get to play my senior year, and I got into coaching immediately, and it worked out okay. So hopefully he'll be able to do the same.
Mack, when you're saying you've never been around a team maybe with this many question marks this close to the opener, does that then mean you're searching for answers harder than you have as a coaching staff before? What does that look like when you're trying to address these questions that are there?
I think it means that we have more options. They're just inexperienced options. And one of the things we're facing is we're not sure how they're going to play in games, because a lot of these guys haven't played in games. So we're having to make decisions based off what we've seen in spring and fall with them competing with each other. A lot of coaches are making decisions right now of what they've seen in games. We're going to see it when the fans see it next week, because some people practice better and some people play better. But the good thing about the team is they're giving us everything they've got. They're getting along. They're not talking about distractions at all. They've been last year's team was so up and down with everything, and this team has been an absolute joy to coach so far.
How confident are you in the younger guys and that depth kind of stepping up and filling the void of those two big injuries you've suffered?
I think you got to wait and see. I mean, I'll be like you all. When they go out there, if they play well, I'm going to say, that's what I thought, good. But if they don't, we got to keep working with them.
Is this a situation where Petaway and Hampton are kind of the time is now for those two guys now with Brooks out? And you said Caleb Hood's also missed a lot of time as well.
Yeah, we've got experience now with DJ Jones and Elijah Green, and they're doing really well. And then you got the two young ones, and what you've got to do is figure out, are you going to play them? How much are you going to play them? And how much of the offense can you give them? Because you have to give them a limited play sheet to start with, especially Omarion, because he just got here. George at least had spring practice, so he's a little further ahead. And you want to play your best players. It's really about plays. It's not about schemes. It's about players. It's not about plays. And you got to get your best players in the game and find out what they do best, and make your schemes work around the players. And those two young backs are really good. So that's what we're it sounds like coach speak, but we are sitting there every day saying, how much can you hit them out here? You got to get the others ready too. How much can you give them? How limited do they make the offense when they're in there? And that's why we're going so much move the ball and actually scrimmaging with Thud, just so they have to play and play the game. So it's been fun to watch them. They're with Andre Green and Doc. They're all four very talented. And then you just figure out what can you do? Do you put them in to start the game? Are they going to be nervous? Are they going to be scared? We just have no clue.
Sorry. Yeah, on the offensive line too. It's like Zach Rice missing time and Rollins missing time with class. What's going on at right tackle? Are there other concerns on the line right now?
Yeah, William Barnes was out for a little while too. So we've actually played Caden Baker at guard and tackle. We've moved him back and forth. It's forced us into looking at everybody more than we would have. But we've Travion Green's still out. Hopefully he'll be back here in a couple of days. But how much does that affect him missing? And Zach's been back now for a couple of days, but he missed some time. So it is. It's you're a little bit all over the place. Awesome Richards and Ed Montelis and Corey Gaynor have been really good. Brian Anderson's been really good. So that's been really solid. And then on the right side, you've been kind of all over the place trying to figure that out. So that's what we've still got to figure out before Monday.
How much difference is there between bringing in a new freshman, introducing him to the playbook versus a transfer? Because last year running back, you were bringing in Ty Chandler, and he was new to the offense. Was it the experience he had at Tennessee, even though it was a different program? Was he still sort of ahead of the curve?
Yeah, it's a good question, but he came in January, and January is like another year, because you've had an off-season program, a spring practice with 15 days all summer, and you've been to college. You bring in a freshman, he's done none of that. So this is all just a load for him with new stuff. But I feel like that grad transfers have been around. Noah and Spencer and Corey have made easy transitions, even though Spencer didn't get here till end of June, and now he's missing some work. So it's been a little harder for him, but those other two have been seamless with their transition.
Mack, what are your thoughts and what kind of feedback have you gotten on the use of the Guardian pads on helmets?
There's, we talked about this a lot with our medical staff, because everything now has got a legal implication. You can't force them to wear braces on their legs. You can make it an option, because if you force them and they get hurt, you're liable to be sued. Same thing with the head covers. We wanted them available. but it's not 100% fact that they can keep you from having a concussion or the knee braces keep you from having a knee operation, because probably some have happened with both. So what the medical staff decided, and what I'm pleased with, is that we have the best things available for them if they want to use them. And I couldn't tell you who is wearing them. Sometimes I look at it and see if it's unique to a personality or obviously if a guy's had a concussion in the past, he probably wears it just because he hopes it'll help. And I don't know a lot of offensive linemen wearing knee braces. I know that Awesome does. I don't know about anybody else. We'd have to go back and look at it and see, but I don't know how many of them wear it.
Mack, you've talked a lot about accountability, toughness, leadership. I mean, you've been telling us that since the spring. Like, do you find yourself trying to preach that day to day? Do you find yourself saying things differently than you would in a preseason because of last season going a way you didn't want it to go? Like, I mean, are you saying different things than you normally would? You've been in the game a long time, obviously. Like,
yeah,
are you trying to hammer certain things that you haven't?
Adam, there's a key to each team, and I missed it last year, whatever that key was. I said the similar stuff different ways, and some listened and some didn't, obviously, because they didn't play hard all the time. This team seems to be listening. We'll know after we play. But I was frustrated with last year's team in the spring and the fall before we started playing. I told Bubba going to Virginia Tech, I don't feel good. I just don't feel good because they don't play all the time. They don't play hard every day. And I'd tell them, they'd look at me like, what's an M? So they just roll their eyes, and it was frustrating.
You mean players?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I could tell. It was like, he's just trying to make us mad or something.
Right.
This bunch has really competed. I mean, they've competed every day. And to an obvious point that I asked the staff the other day, and I have my opinion too, who did not give us 100% on Saturday night? Because that was a practice at night where they had all day to wait. Students were there, a lot of distractions. They had the band there, they had the cheerleaders there, the dance team there, they had the entrance videos, they had everything, and the students were unbelievable. Our students have just been great since we've been here, but they were the same way Saturday night. I don't know that I would have been at a practice my first day back, but they were, and I was proud of them. And really and truly, we said there's about 4 guys that didn't seem as focused, and we've sat down and talked to them and said that you can't do that. I mean, the message to us is that you're not passionate about football, and it's not that important to you. But that's pretty good if you got a whole team and 4 that you are hoping you get something out of, and they may have to be on the white team instead of the blue team. Because really and truly, that was their resume. They're actually showing us who they are. And if it's a practice, we've said it's important. So if you don't show up, that means to us there's some game you're not going to show up for. And that's because you're telling us who you are. And we also said it's your resume, it's your game day for the NFL. So when you go out there against Florida A&M, you can't take plays that are bad plays out. They're going to see it. So don't talk about the NFL. Show us. Play good for the NFL, and you'll be back where you need to be.
Bubba didn't roll his eyes, did he? When you said that, when you told him he didn't feel good?
No, Bubba I think he did. I think he said, gosh. I hated I was right.
Everybody good?
And the last thing is, and it fits with what Adam asked, we got to start winning close games. We got to start winning on the road. And to do that, you've got to be passionate every week, and you've got to be able to finish things. And you got to do it with confidence. And that's we have more stats with this team than we've had. We got 3 years now, 2 where we were really moving forward, and then 1 where we didn't do as well. So we got a lot of things to talk about with them now that we didn't have when we first got here, and now we can show them. We can go back and show them the Appalachian State game 3 years ago. We can go back and show them last year that we had a chance to win at Pitt, and we had a chance to win at Notre Dame in the 4th quarter, and we had a chance to win at NC State, and that we didn't play with passion on defense against Florida State, and we turned it over 3 times in the 1st quarter against Georgia Tech. And then we beat Miami, and we beat Wake Forest, and we came from behind to beat Wake Forest. We've got a lot of information now that we can give them that we haven't had in the past, so it's easier to coach them when you can show them, here's what we've done well, and here's what we got to do better. And it's obvious we got to win close games on the road, and that's easy. I mean, it's hard to do, but easy to say. So every day out here in the fourth quarter, I tell them this is a road game. We got 20 minutes left. You got to finish strong, and that's why this preaching to this group is probably a little bit different, because we have really positive things to show them in our past and things that need to get fixed. And I've told them everything in this, what I've told you all, everything in this program's good. You need to win more games, and that's it, period. So grades are good, kids are good, recruiting's good, facilities are good and getting better. Everything's good. Need to win more games, and that's on us as coaches to put them in positions to do that. Okay. All right.
Appreciate it.